Hello and a very warm welcome to another episode of Off the Leash, brought to you by the Racing Post in association with Premier Greyhound Racing. It's episode 40 and we've got Mystic Meg with us, Tony Bullen. How are you, Tony?
Yeah, not too bad, Dave. Just looking for that crystal ball again, but yeah, no, it's been fantastic racing and it's getting even better. Christmas is just around the corner and even more to whet the appetite.
Now, the Mystic Meg reference, if anyone didn't watch last week's show, was a bit of a frightening one, really, because we obviously previewed the Premier Greyhound Racing Eclipse final. I fancied Wickenhead. I thought he'd get across. Tony made a case that maybe Romeo Still and Wickenhead will go to the turn and they'll set it up for Romeo Command. And it is exactly what happened. We'll show you that very shortly. But a big weekend coming up as well, Tony. Two huge competitions getting underway on Saturday night at Hove.
Yeah, and they've attracted some top class entries as well. I mean, some of the heats might be a little bit lopsided, but you'd expect the cream to rise to the top, and obviously the semi-finals could be really interesting.
Okay, as ever, we will look back before we look forward. It wasn't just the Eclipse that we looked at last week. We also looked at the J&K Coach Tours Gold Collar. So we'll look back at that one in brilliant fashion by Iams of Sydney, a real favourite, I think, across the whole sport, let alone here on Off the Leash. We'll look at the Eclipse final, then we'll look forward to Hove. We'll pick out some of the races, some of the best races on the card on Saturday night, and the all-important naps as well to come. So we'll start with the gold collar then, 540 metres at Crayford on Sunday night. Now, we both fancied Iams of Sydney, and I think we both felt, Tony, that he just needed to miss his kennel mate Righty in one early doors, and he'd probably go on and score. Well, he did miss him because he led at the turn, and not only did he lead, he absolutely pulverised them thereafter as well, smashing the track record. I think he took 3 lengths off the clock. He did the business from track 2, 32.85, which is unheard of, to dip inside 33 seconds. That was a new track record. Righty, John Mullins, his kennel mate in red, finished second. Slick Sabo in 3 finished third. But the referee could have waved this all over at the first bend.
Yeah, unbelievable. I mean, he has done this before. It's not a massive surprise that you've seen Iams of Sydney ping the lids and make call. But in the preliminaries, he had had to sort of be gutsy to win both of those races. But we said he needs to ride his luck around their first 2 bends. He knew. He just thought, well, I'll ride my luck. I'll be out on my own. And once in front, I mean, he absolutely destroyed the opposition. It looked quick to the eye. I mean, you don't beat dogs the length of the field at Crayford if you're not very talented. And what a time. I mean, the dog had been knocking on the door to win a big one, and he's done it in style. And I'd say that clock will be there to stay, Dave.
Well, yeah, the Iams Boys Syndicate, John Mullins teamed up, and as we said, this dog had been knocking on the door. It was his 5th Cat 1 final. Speaking to everyone involved afterwards, a bittersweet moment, really. I mean, the news broke last week of Crayford looks likely to close next year. And we did have a note from Andrew Ashby, 9262 on YouTube, saying, great tipping, shame about Crayford. And he said, it is a big track. You know, if it is to go, Tony, this will be the last gold collar to be staged at Crayford. It would have been the last Grand National. Who knows what will hold for the future of hurdle racing. You know, it's a big shame, and it'll mean, if Crayford does go, only one ground track inside the M25, which is frightening.
Yeah, no, there ain't one track with an actual London postcode now anyway, and any track closing is a sad day for the industry, Dave.
Yeah, absolutely. But a brilliant winner there. Unheard of. Dipping inside 33 seconds. Remarkable run from Iams of Sydney. And you won't have to wait too long to see him again in action. Right. It wasn't just the Grand National and the Gold Collars. I've already mentioned the Eclipse as well last week, or Monday, if you like. We previewed it on last week's show. £20,000 Premier Greyhound Racing Eclipse. And our man, Tony Bullen, read it like a book. Now, the favourite was Wickenhead in trap 5, drawn wider than ideal, but he is class. He was going for a 4th big title. Romeo Still was the other early pace angle in trap 2. Would they tangle early doors? You thought they would, Tony. You thought they'd set it up for maybe a Romeo Command up on the inside at 3-1. And that is exactly what happened. Romeo Command, another big title. 29.87. Slick Sentinel in trap 6, the Juvenile Classic winner in the stripes, and Romeo Still back in 3rd in trap 2. A 1, 2, 3, for Patrick Janssens. What a greyhound this one is, Tony.
Yeah, model of consistency. He's been there and worn the t-shirt. Runner-up in the Derby. He's every competition he's contested, he goes deep, Dave. He's rarely out the first three. I mean, Wicked Ed did nothing wrong. He did what he needed to do out of the boxes, but this Romeo still, who I've given the tag of Bocco's Alfie Mark II, he can move around at the bend, but he's been showing good pace to the turn, and he paid his kennel mate a massive compliment by colliding with Wicked Ed round the first two turns. Romeo took command at halfway, and you know he wasn't going to be for catching. He's a bull of a dog when he gets to the front. And Patrick Janssens 1, 2, 3. I mean, not the first time a trainer's had a 1, 2, 3 in finals, but what a unique achievement, Dave.
Yeah, it's been done a few times. I know Liz and Radbook now, I think, at the first 3 home in the Puppy Derby last year. I think they had the first 4 home in one of the 6-bend races at Oxford as well. But Patrick sent a really good team up there. You know, you think he had the likes of Droopy's Plunge and Barntick Bear didn't even make it to the final. So that's how good his team was. And it was a competition they aimed at. They swerved the Kent Derby with Romeo Command with this in mind. And British bred champion for Dave and Nick Firmager. And when you're going out, you know, like Dave does to breed, he does breed dogs, not really buy dogs, but put all that time, effort and money in, this is the sort of dog that you just dream of producing, Tony.
Yeah, you embrace these when they come along, and they're not conveyor belt dogs. These Romeo Commands, they're very unique. They're one in every 1,000, really. They're like a diamond in the rough. But when they do come along, you just embrace them because what they achieve on the track, CV's second to none, Dave.
Right, let's move on to Saturday night then at Hove. Not one, but 2 Category 1s, both worth £10,000 to the winner. We've got the Coral Olympic and the George Curtis Ballyregan Bob Memorial Trophy. So the very best over 4 bends and some of the best over 6 bends are all going to war on Saturday night. 6 first-round heats of both competitions will make up the 12-race card, all live on the Premier Greyhound Racing Series, when you can watch the stream on the PGR website or behind the red button on Sky Sports Racing. And let's jump straight into it then, shall we? Heat number 1. This is race 1 on the card, the 608. Now, we're over the extended 6 bends at Hove. We've got St. Maga on the inside at 14, Swift Jarvis at 6s, Garfinny Blaze at 8 to 13 back after a number of months off. 4 is vacant. All Right Goldie goes in 5 at 11 to 4. Milridge Tannic at 8. We're going to have a look at Garfinny Blaze doing the business. This feels like a lifetime ago, back in January, winning the Cesarewitch down at Central Park. Ballymac Taylor in second. All Right Goldie, who of course reopposes here, back in third. I think it's fair to say when this dog's right, Tony, and he's firing on all cylinders, he's the best stayer in the country.
Yeah, without a shadow of a doubt. I mean, I've got a good memory, Dave. We put this one up in one of our first shows of Off the Leash Anti-Post. I think it was a 9 to 4 shot to win the Cesarewitch and done it in style. He then went on to do decent runs at Hove, and he obviously suffered a setback at Toaster in the it was a stayers event during the Derby. But he's been off a while, but his trials suggest that he's ready to rock and roll. I mean, if he had a few races under his belt, come into this event in the form that he was at the start of the year, I think you would have been looking at a shade of odds on Anti-Post. But obviously the fact that he's been off the card is the reason you're getting bigger odds. But he's a joy to watch him full flight, and make no mistake, he is the one to beat.
Yeah, he's had sort of sprint trials, 4-bend trials and 6-bend trials at Monmore. This is one of them moments where the man at the end of the lead and the team training this dog is a big factor, because we know how good this dog is and he's been off the card. Does he need to be 100% to qualify here? No, of course he doesn't, because he's that good. Will he be forward enough? I think he probably will be, but we are over the 740. It's that time of the year. It's going to be testing. This certainly will sort of be a little bit of a fact-finding mission on where we're at with Garfinny Blaze. But the beauty of it is it's quite a soft race for him, and he just needs to qualify, and he's going to come forward.
Yeah, it's the second run back that I'd be more concerned about. Like Saturday, I'd expect the dog to do himself justice, but it's always the second run back that's the telling one. And you've got to remember, this is over the 740 metres, but Garfinny Blaze runs Hove extremely well.
Right, let's move on then. There's going to be 2 votes for Garfinny Blaze. He's going to be a short price, but he should get the job done. Right, we'll drop down to the 515. It is the Olympic. Heat number 1's the 626 on the card, and here are the runners. Proper Heiress in 1, 10 to 11. Kevin's Rocket 7s. Ginger's Rubin 14. Drive on Lad 14. Newin Benny 6 to 4. Senna Hall Tedster at 20 to 1. And we already have a Cat 1 winner among them. Over course and distance as well. Let's have a look at Newin Benny, winning this year's Sussex Cup. He was in trap 6. Wasted Monday was in 5. And a certain Droopy's Clue was in trap 2. Early pace is the order of the day here, Tony, with Newin Benny.
Yeah, I remember this race. I think we both made a strong case for the Derek Knight pair on the basis that they had brute early pace and they did dominate proceedings. But it was Newin Benny who showed his early pace to full effect when it mattered most, and he's acquitted himself reasonably well since, Dave. He's had his share of wins. He's been beaten when leading recently, but he's always a dog that you're going to have a second look at Hove because of his early pace.
Yeah, well, he'll need to be on his toes. Now, he's got a good draw because I know he wants to be in 6, but Drive on Lad is a dog that will steer inside from 4. I do like this Proper Heiress, though. A dog who looks like he wants the inside as well, and that's what he's got here. So he's going to be very, very hard to beat. And on the early price, he's rightly heads the market.
Yeah, I think we'll take the world of beating here. I mean, Newin Benny should lead 4 and 6. He'll dominate, but 5.15, no hiding place at Hove, and he's been pegged back in recent. Last week he led and got beat by Hope's Oompa Loompa. Well, Proper Heiress is better than Hope's Oompa Loompa, so I think if one can hold his position on the inside, which I fully expect him to do, he'll improve on that trial alone, the prep trial that he had. I think he's going to take the world of beating, Proper Heiress.
Yeah, two strong votes for Proper Heiress, we'll say there. Right, let's jump to Heat 2 of the Coral Olympic. And a reminder that these prices, fair play to the sponsors Corals, first out the boxes with both the Olympic and the Ballyregan Bob Memorial heats. So we've got them for you here. You can get stuck in as and when. 6.59 is Heat 2. We've got Marco the Great 16s in the red. Barntic Bear 8 to 13 in 2. Rapido Ali in track 3 at 8. Ballymac John 11 to 2. Swift Depot 8. Antigua Falky 9 to 2. Before I get your views, Tony, well, let's have a look at what Barntic Bear is capable of doing. This was at Nottingham. This was the Arc Standard Trophy final. 29.66 from off the speed, as we expect him to. Aladale Kazoo in 5. Seaview Sydney in 3. Good run here, and this is what Barntic Bear can do with daylight.
Yeah, he's always been a dog I've been a fan of. I mean, I thought he was a little bit unlucky in the Monmore Puppy Derby, and Monmore wouldn't really be the dog's track, but he has relished the step up to a galloping 4 bends. The only worry that I've got with him recently, he has been totally devoid. He's really dropping himself out, and against top class dogs, you just can't afford to give them too much rope. This occasion, I mean, he was 2 to 5 and 4 on in this respective event. You can probably make that mistake. And when he sees daylight, you're right, Dave, the dog really does cover the ground and come home really well. But he's just come up shy against the likes of Wicky Ned and Droopy's Plunge because you can't afford to get too detached against those class of dog.
What are your thoughts on him here at 8 to 13?
Well, I think the track and trip will be tailor-made for him. 29.80 is a highly satisfactory trial. I think he picks these off in the latter stages. He might even turn a little bit handy out, although that's sectional in that trial, Dave. 4.57. I mean, that suggests that he's going to turn nearer last than first.
Yeah, he's a monster, though. I think if you can get anywhere near evens, that might be a good price there because I think it's one of the softer heats. That is Heat 2, the 6.59. Let's move on to Heat 3. That's the next race we're going to look at of the Olympic, the 7.33. Arguably the race of the round here. Brilliant race. I'm a big fan of Missile 1 who goes in the red jacket here, 5 to 1 for Seamus Kyle. I Am's a Sydney, fresh from his gold collar success, 4 to 5 in 2. Gary the Arb, 5 to 1. Bauer Gift 10s. Droopy's Display, the Kent Derby champion, at 5 to 1. Noir's News, who finished 3rd in the Champion Stakes at Romford at 10 to 1. Let's have a look at Droopy's Display, beating a certain King Memphis and El Tornillo in trap 4. This was the Kent Derby final. He looks a big price in this heat at 5 to 1.
I can't believe he's five. I can't believe he's 5-1. I mean, I'll be playing if he's 5-1. I mean, they dismissed him, to be truthful, when he was 6-1 after he won the Kent Derby at Central Park. He went to Hove and he was 6-1. I think I made him about 11-4, 3-1 shot. So he showed the early pace once again when following up at Hove. But the effort in the Kent Derby, track record performance, again, any dog that produces a track record run in a final. And look at the dogs that he beat, Dave. I mean, this Droopy's display, something's clicked with him of late, and I think he's a dog that can go deep in this competition.
Yeah, he's got that all round pace, hasn't he? He's got the early, which we saw in that Kent Derby final, but he had, King Memphis and El Tornillo on his tail, and they never really looked like getting to him. So he'd be a real handful. I'm a big fan of Missile One. He's not great at the boxes, but it'd take a good one to fetch him in if he was to cut loose. He's got massive back straight pace. Iams of Sydney we know about as well. I mean, at the prices, I believe they're correct. I'll have to double check them, but I'd have to be with Droopy's. I was going to be with Iams of Sydney, but at the prices, 5-1 Droopy's display cannot be ignored, I don't think.
Yeah, I think they've overreacted. They've gone off the time probably of the last run. He's won the gold collar. It's fresh in the memory. He's proven at Hove the Iams of Sydney dog, so I've got no concerns about the track. But Missile One, he ain't going to be an easy dog to pass. I mean, he's struggled with a little bit of consistency, the Missile One dog, but being drawn inside Iams of Sydney, I wouldn't be taking 4. I'd like to lay 4 or 5. No, and that's no disrespect to Iams of Sydney, but I'd be happy as a bookmaker to fill the odd at 4 to 5 on.
Yeah, it's a good race. Really, really good race. Right, let's jump to the 8:24, which is Heat 5 of the George Curtis at Ballyregan Bob Memorial. Stellar line-up here. Fortunately, we go without trap 5, but Droopy's Flotilla goes in 1. Our Smasher in 2 is the runner-up last year. Liz on Fire in 3. Capel Rose in 4. 5 is Vacant. 6 is Bright Jewel. Going to have a look at Nathan Hunt's Droopy's Flotilla in the Nottingham Stayers Trophy. 40.89 over the sixpence here, breaking the track record. Hurry Up Jordan in 5 finished 2nd. True Mount Fury in the blue finished 3rd. And this bitch she's been in season and she's come back and she's firing on all cylinders.
Yeah, and some. I mean, some bitches, they have a seasonal rest and come back better than ever, especially when they've given the specific amount of time off, Dave. And she's done nothing wrong, Nathan Hunt's bitch, since returning. And that was a good effort because obviously the Val Bluebell as well, who Droopy's Flotilla beat at Nottingham recently, sets a decent standard on her own backyard. But yeah, she's really improved. She was a semi-finalist in this event last year, but never a factor, never ever really looked like threatening the principals. But she's grown and developed massively since, and I think she'll strut her stuff in this race because Our Smasher in 2 will be devoid. She's literally having a solo trial here on Saturday night.
Yeah, great chance. Just the show on there. Once again, thanks to Corals and Ladbrokes for getting their prices out very early for us to chat about here on the show. Droopy's Flotilla 4 to 6, Our Smasher 5 to 2, Liz on Fire 33s, Capel Rose 8s, 5 is obviously Vacant, and Bright Jewel at 9 to 2. So 2 votes for 4 to 6 Droopy's Flotilla. I'm thinking, Tony, is there?
Yeah, all in.
Very much so. Right, we're going to jump forward then to the final Olympic heat, and this is a belter as well. We've got Cat 1 winners in here. No, Nguyen Sid, who won last year's Eclipse, up on the inside in the red jacket. He is 100 to 30. Then we've got Droopy's Plunge, who is 1 to 2. Never Say No, 11 to 2. Burrows Sapphire 12. Turkish Lira 20. New Import at 16s. Market, Tony, suggesting all about the inside trio, in particular Droopy's Plunge, who is odds on. And this is why. We're going to have a look at him in the first round of the Eclipse. This was absolutely sensational. He needed to bang out a 3 to get across to the rails. Exactly what he did. He did the business in 29.16, which was easily the fastest time. Remember, the likes of Wiki Ned make it all in this first round as well. 29.16. He had Barntick Bear in 2 and Nguyen Sid in 4, who obviously reopposes here in trap 1. In behind him in traps 2 and 4. But it was lights out early doors, and this dog looks the part, doesn't he?
Yeah, he was sent off. I mean, I couldn't believe he was sent off like 33, 40 to 1 anti-post in the Eclipse, and obviously those shrewdies that managed to get the decent odds would have been cock a hoop with this performance in the first round because it was very professional and he was still going strong to the drop. He didn't get to the front at an early stage in the semi-finals, but I thought he was a little bit unlucky. I mean, conditions were quite bad on the night, and I thought he lost nothing in defeat, the dog. He's moved well in a recent prep trial. He'll find a chunk on that. New in Sid, you ignore him at your peril. He's a real credit to connections. He's dangerous drawn in red, but I like this Droopy's Plunge dog. I think there's more in the locker.
Yeah, and speaking to his trainer, Patrick Janssens, obviously after he was knocked out the semi-finals of the Eclipse, and Patrick was very vocal on his beliefs about this dog being a contender for the Derby next year. Patrick's always said, I remember leading up into Thorn Falcons Derby final, that you need a dog who's an all-rounder for the Derby, and he thinks this dog is all of that. He starts and stays. Yes, he's, from what we've seen of him, he looks like he's a little bit draw-dependent, but I think he's going to be a big player for this Olympic. He's 2 on there, and rightly so. Right, so let's have a look at him in the outright market then, shall we? It's the £10,000 Coral Olympic on Saturday night at 36 hopefuls. And Barntick Bear and Droopy's Plunge both head the betting at 7-1. Iams of Sydney at 8, Candid in Monsoon at 12, Droopy's Extra Good 14, Proper Heiress 14, 16-1 bar. I'm going to kick off, Tony. I put up Proper Heiress for the Eclipse and it wasn't to be, but I'm still a believer. Got a nice draw in the opening round. You know, stranger things have happened. We might see 1 or 2 casualties, who knows? But I do think Proper Heiress will win in the opening round. I think he's a real nice type who might just have a little bit more to come. He starts and stays. I think he's perfect for the 5-1-5. With a little bit of luck in trap draws, maybe in the semi-finals, getting a pitch somewhere near the fence. 14-1 could look huge. So I'm very keen on that one each way. What about yourself?
Yeah, I mean, look obviously, Hove, for years and years, local knowledge has been massive, and the locals always been... Hove's always had one of the strongest grades in the country, but I just think nowadays the away Raiders, they seem to do a lot better against the locals, and Patrick Janssens, he's really got a solid unit around them. This Droopy's Plunge, not a lot of mileage on the clock. I think Hove's going to be tailor-made for him, and around the 7-1 mark, I think that's reasonable price for a dog that ticks a lot of boxes.
Right, let's move on then. On Saturday night is not only the Coral Olympic, it is also first round heats of the £10,000 George Curtis Ballyregan Bob Memorial Trophy. 2 legends of the game and a stellar cast of stayers on show here. Now, it's interesting. Garfinny Blaze has been off the track for a number of the months. 11-4 favourite. We've got Move Over Oggy 6s, Droopy's Flotilla 8, All Right Goldie 9-1, Twanabella 10, Breton Molly 11. 12-1 bar. Now, Garfinny Blaze, firing on all cylinders, would be an absolute steal at 11-4. But there are 1 or 2 question marks around him. You know, should he be workmanlike in the first round and qualify, you'd probably still get 2-1 in the semis. So we'll revisit that greyhound maybe next week. But it feels like a market to maybe take on the jolly, whether that be, you know, a lumpy each way play, something not too far behind him, or maybe getting a little bit adventurous at big prices here. Tony, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, it's a 36-runner event, but I think the first round is pretty straightforward. I think even if there are a few shock results, the big guns are going to still qualify. So it's an 18-runner event for me, really, Dave. And Garfinny Blaze, I wouldn't want to be laying 11-4 because he could just strut his stuff throughout the comp and show what all the fuss was about, and he would represent a lot shorter if he was up together and had a recent run under his belt. But I'm going to take a chance with Move Over Oggy. I say take a chance, he's second favourite, which I'm a little bit miffed and disappointed about, but he's just returned a little bit of a better dog following an absence. He just seems like he brought a bit of consistency to his game. He heads into this event full of confidence, and I'm going to be with Move Over Oggy on the basis that he can keep qualifying.
I like it, 6-1. I'm going to be a little bit more adventurous, and I'm going to go for a couple at big prices. The first one I'm going to go with is All Right Patricia, who looks as if I think she might just be coming to hand. She really caught my eye staying on behind Queen Georgia at Oxford last time out. Now, they've obviously not gone for the the competition there. They're going for this one. She stays. She's got form over 8 bends as well. And there aren't too many wides in here that I can see progressing and qualifying. So we might get a bit of a ride at 28-1. So a small each way play there. And it wasn't to be for coffee time guys last week. That was my nap. I think it was smashed off the balls. It was big prices. Was a massive eye catcher in behind the ground that Tony's putting up, Move Over Oggy. So at 20-1, I think a little each way dart at that one as well. So I'm trying to be a little bit more adventurous. I do think Garfinny Blaze is by quite some way the best stayer on show in this event. And, you know, in a week's time, 11-4, he could be even money, you know, and he's won by half the track. Who knows? But I'd rather have small each way plays at big prices than get stuck in to find out. So I'm going to go with All Right Patricia at 28, Coffee Time Guys at 20s. Tony is going with Move Over Oggy at 6-1. Right, it is that time for the best bets of the week. Now, step forward, Mystic Meg. You've been in great form, Tony, providing us winner after winner, week after week here on Off the Leash. Where are we off to this week for the best bet?
Yeah, I'm going to go to Hove. I think anything around 10 to 11 evens, proper Harris, is a play. I just think that the draw's worked out well. Progressive salt. I think turns no worse than second or third at halfway and gets the job done. So proper Harris for me, Dave.
Obviously going in one of the heats of the Olympics, 6:26 on Saturday night, proper Heiress at Hove. I'm also going to go to Hove. I'm going to go with All Right Patricia. I think it's around about a 6-4 chance in the 7:16 at Hove. Out in trap 6, one of the George Curtis Ballyregan Bob Memorial first round heats there. Caught my eye staying on strongly at Oxford over the 650. The step up in triple suit, nice draw. I don't think it's the warmest of the first round heat, so really good chance for Dave Lewis's stayer around the outside. They are our best bets here on Off the Leash. Tony, as ever, thank you for your time and expertise. Reminder, you know, whether you're watching us on Facebook or on the Racing Post YouTube channel, get involved, drop us a comment or a like, and of course subscribe to the Racing Post YouTube channel. Our tipsters have been on fire. Steve Palmer in the sweet spot, 80-1 winner last week, and we've got old Mystic Meg here on show covering the dogs as well. Right, we'll see you next week. Remember to gamble responsibly and enjoy the racing.